Welcome back to the Pro Football Pod. We're here on
What up?
Friday. Like we promised, we do it for you, for the fans.
For you.
For us.
Seriously.
For you.
This
for
is
all
my
We
the
are
collective.
this is one of my favorite hours of the week because it's so unknown. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We're just going to talk about it as it happens. The football games are, so much longer. They're not just an hour. But the first one looks like it's going to be the Chargers playing against the Patriots.
Going into Beantown.
Chargers are favored 5.5 with
You're
a 40.5 over. No. I mean, they should be favored. They
they're
should be
playing
favored by
lights
10.
out.
Yeah, is that
Now,
what
one
that
thing-
is? That what that is?
losing, but
The Chargers, I've noticed with their spreads this season, and I don't know how much of it is the Herbert factor or if it's just how close they keep their games in general.
it's
But the
alarming.
Chargers spread all season long, either way, whether they're the favorite or the underdog, I don't think it's been any more than 5.5 or 6 points this season. Now, I'm sure I'm probably wrong, but
I
they
mean, most
keep
of their
so many
games
The
games
book
close.
are within 3, yeah.
Where honestly, with Billy Zappi getting the start and a little bit of possible injection of life into that team for what little skill positions they have, I don't know how I feel about that spread, if I'm going to be honest. Now,
I
Demario
actually-
Douglas has not practiced at all this week after sustaining
He's
his
not playing.
concussion last week.
He's not playing. It's
As
100%
well as
More than
Keenan.
likely, he's not going to play.
Well,
At
Keenan
this
has
point-
practiced, but he's a little banged up. Got the quadricep.
We're not worried about Keenan. Keenan's going to play, but we know that Demario Douglas can't play because of not making this practice. Because of the concussion protocol, he's no
Yeah.
longer eligible to start.
Now they got other guys that throw the ball.
Keenan's been on the injury report the last 3 weeks. It hasn't been a problem at all. I'm
have
not
no
worried
one
about
else.
15
exactly.
targets.
I'm pretty sure they're going to forfeit.
Like
They don't have
Quentin
receivers
Johnson
otherwise.
basically got benched for that Erickson guy. like-
Josh Palmer's coming back, and they do still have Jalen Guyton.
Now,
But
As
that's
of right
about it.
now, though, Brandon Staley said they have no exact timetable for Josh Palmer's return.
That's not good.
He said,
Like, I
could
know
be this
that-
season.
Yeah, I know that like they're wanting him back and they need him back at this point. But if they
Josh
don't have a
get back?
timetable, it's still. This is a game to where. Let me get it pulled up real quick just to see what I've got. If as
Based
far
off
as
your
player
first
props,
point, though, about like the spreads with the Chargers, give me the Pats all day. I mean, the Chargers. have
FanDuel's
not
really hurting me
beaten
here. They don't have
anybody
player
by
props
3
posted for the
or more.
Chargers yet. Because I absolutely would look into hammering, not necessarily his yards, but Keenan Allen's receptions. The dude is leading the league in targets by a wide margin. And if last Monday night wasn't evident enough, he's getting 13, 14, 15 targets a game. 7, 8, 9, 10 yards deep. Like he's a first down machine.
The prop will
But
be
we've
set
seen
at-
it over the
should
years.
be
He's
set at
becoming that
8.5.
Larry Fitz. He's becoming that Larry Fitz role, the big body guy that can work the slot and just get you sure catches in a first down. And so, I mean, props wise, I'm looking at Keenan Allen and Eckler, maybe Eckler, because he's
Eckler's
not been
so
efficient
rough
this year.
lately. Maybe look at his under.
Mr. Efficiency, like Austin Efficiency, he's just not been that this year, especially in his rushing.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the guy's like hasn't
receiving.
cracked like 40 yards more in more
He's getting
games this
stuff
year
at the
is
line.
nuts.
I think Ramondre Stevenson is probably the only player that matters for the New England Patriots at this point. From a fantasy
Either
standpoint,
got a sickness or banged up. So
that's
he doesn't
really
have
good
anybody.
for Ramondre.
Yeah.
On top of that, the Chargers give up a bunch of points.
I like
to
where
the
the
running back.
Chargers run D is
Their D
weak.
came together a little bit.
Where the Chargers run D is weak, I like Zeke over 28.5 yards this week. I
Wait,
think
did
he
you
can
not
pop
just
off
hear me?
with 35.
Is
He
he
did.
going to play though?
It's an
Zeke?
illness, so he should play. Most players play through illness.
Also,
like it shows
Whenever
up on
I
the,
hear illness, I always take that with a grain of salt because it could be like a personal day, but they just want to list it as something because, Bill in that injury report.
for
So-
real.
Mhm.
I don't take stock in it. I think he's fine.
Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers had 400 yards of offense for the first time in like 2 or 3 seasons. They get to play Arizona this week in Pittsburgh. They're favored 5.5 with a 41.5 over. I like Pittsburgh. I mean, I like a lot of their offensive pieces. I think that their running attack, especially. Do we know what Najee and Jalen's lines are?
Let's look at that real quick. Najee 54.5 and Jalen is 56.5. I like Najee's over more than I like Jalen's just because Jalen
future.
also gets more work in the
I was going to
receiving
say,
game.
is it a? Can you do a pass receiving combo for him because that would be much more ideal.
Let's see. Player rushing and receiving yards. They don't have that posted yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a little too soon for some people. But yet they have Deontay Johnson on here, and he
Now,
had an illness issue.
If they have Jalen Warren's receiving at like 24 or less, then you're hammering that.
See, what I've been noticing with FanDuel and especially receiving running backs of late, they don't drop those lines until like an hour before the game. Now, like I said, I'm specifically just talking about FanDuel, but like I was looking last week and it was the Black Friday game. I wanted Brees Hall's receptions prop.
Yeah.
And that was not posted until like an hour before the game. And you're just sitting there the whole time just looking for it because you know, like they're going to be down in this game. He's going to get hammered with receptions. And it's things like that like I've just been noticing to where it makes me feel better about the bet that they're so hesitant to drop it. But you also wonder like which way they're leaning on that. As far as like, are they juicing it or are they trying to catch you in a trap?
They're scared to put it out there, is what it is. They don't want that prop sitting out there for that long because they know that there's so much more of a possibility for them to lose money on it. So they release those props late. They also hide the better props like deeper into the program. Like you have to click on a player and you can get like better odds for it. If you just look at the props that they're showing you when you first hit like passing props, receiving props, like it's not the same props. If you go deeper into the website, like you get better odds and stuff. It's really weird, but like
Well,
it
yeah,
makes
like if you're
sense.
looking at things like
So
Pat
if you dive
Fryermuth,
deeper, you will get better odds.
like Fryermuth, he 33.5 is his over under at -114. But if you felt good enough about it, you could take his 40 plus yards on his alternate line at +126. So if you think he'll break his over, then there's a strong chance he gets to 40. It's going to be close. It's risky, but there's a strong chance he gets to 40. Which I like
he
his
hit
over
like
in this game as well.
125 yards last week, easily. So 40 yards should be nothing for the guy.
Now, do we
His
think
reception props is
fantasy-wise,
juicy.
do we think Kyler is going to continue his effectiveness that he's shown since he's been back at just as far as the fantasy spectrum?
I think this is a scary underdog game because of that.
He's averaged 20 points a game as a starter since he's been a starter in the NFL as a fantasy quarterback. I don't think that changes. I think that he's a lot
coming off the edge.
I think that without injury, he is electric and he's going to be able to, in 1 or 2 plays, make up for a whole game worth of not really getting it done. That's the difference between him and Gardner Minshew and Kenny Pickett and some of these other guys.
Now, while we're talking about this, I do want to throw out there, especially these games on the East Coast and the Northeast, outdoor games like this one we're talking about, there's projected to be some shitty weather this weekend.
Yep, lots of rain.
Let it rain.
So keep that in mind when you're now there's certain games like we saw in the second half of that Philly game where it was just wet the whole game. Didn't really affect those offenses too much, but we're also talking about two of the better offenses in the league.
True.
So in a game like this with the Steelers and the Cardinals, and you're looking at an over-under of 41.5, I lean the under on that. The only thing that hesitates me is the Cardinals defense is trash and the Steelers is average this year. So you look for mistakes to get made, penalties to get thrown, And like we saw Thursday night, those penalties, both teams getting over 100 yards in penalty yardage
It
to
was
just
crazy.
help them up and down the field.
No
And
punts.
Al Michaels, he legit straight up said, like, I bought tickets to the Clete Blakeman show, I guess, like the head referee. Like, he was getting mad with it because he was like, we're not even watching the game. It got to where when they'd throw one, he'd be like, yep, of course, another penalty. Let's see what this one is. Like, he was getting mad.
They ran the clips and there was actual penalties, so it's just
Well,
like
there
yeah.
was, but there's also
it's
so many
undisciplined
times
football,
where
and we
it's
know
like, let the
both those
boys
teams
play.
are.
Some of those penalties on
They-
CD
hold on.
were because
They
it
were
was
playing.
on CD. Like
Bro.
if it was on another receiver in that game, it wouldn't have been
But
called.
they were penalties.
But
Those
like that
first
little
three
shoulder
quarters-
touch that was like I have CD and I loved it because he got a bunch of work. But it was a little bit ridiculous what they were
Those
giving
first 3 quarters, they were throwing flags on both defenses like crazy to get those offenses up and down. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, flags just stopped getting thrown on Dallas. Like you did
'Cause we
not see
smartened
like
up.
Dallas have like hardly any flags in the fourth. You can't tell me they cleaned it up that much.
Now, we previewed all the
Moving
games
on.
earlier. Let's move on. So Denver at Houston. This is one of the matchups that I'm looking forward to the most. And if you said that in September, you would have been crazy. Like, what? Denver or Houston? Who cares about either of these teams? But honestly, they both have the same, not the same record. I don't think, no.
Denver's been on a
They
tear
both-
lately. I think
They
you're
both
right.
have the same. They both
Hold
have
on.
animals as mascots.
Oh, there you go.
And-
If
yeah,
Denver's
they're both-
6-5.
They're both 6-5, bro.
So, I mean, this is a big playoff, implications
is-
for both teams,
Yeah,
like
huge.
wild card
They're-
matchup. So,
For all intents and purposes, teams like Denver, Houston, Jacksonville, these teams, Cleveland, these teams, their
Colts.
playoffs start now.
yeah, seriously.
Like they're to the point to where
Can't
they
lose.
can't really afford any losses.
Nope.
You just named the whole
Buffalo,
division.
The Chargers, like all these teams here, their playoffs are starting now. So you're right. This is a huge game. This one's indoors. You're getting a dome down in Houston.
Hell
We've
yeah.
seen
NRG.
how that offense of the Texans operates down there in Houston when they're at home. It's electric.
It's been awesome so
But
far.
Russ has been very
Except for
good
the
lately.
crowd showing up, but
Russ has been very good lately. And that
Oh, yeah.
Texans defense has shown
Now,
they'll let up
Stingley
30 points.
Has been very good lately too.
Stingley?
He came back from. Is it Stingley? Not
Stingley,
Stingley.
yeah, if you just
came
sound
back-
the word, his name
Oh,
out.
thank you. He came back from injury recently, so that's been making a huge difference for their defense. They've been shutting down number one receivers. So I think that Cortland Sutton scoring in this game might not happen. He's
They also
scored in like
have
every game over the last
Another
like 5
cornerback coming
weeks.
back, King. I don't know his first name, but King,
Desmond
the cornerback
King.
for Desmond King.
Yeah, they've got him
From
coming
Atlanta.
back. No, he was activated. I believe he was on their roster, got hurt, and they dropped him. And he's been a free agent, and they just picked him back up. I believe so. Desmond King has played in Houston, so them
Gotcha.
getting him back, that is huge for their defense. This is a game where I wonder who Pat Surtain Jr. is going to be shadowing.
He's got to cover Nico. He
Is
has
it
That's
to.
a good
Nico?
question.
Nico's the better receiver. He's more of
He's
a number
bigger.
Now,
one.
Nico does work
body.
more on the outside.
And that's it. Tank Dell is such a good slot
That's
receiver.
Surtain's
Like,
spot. That means
So is-
Tank should have a great day if he's healthy and plays, as well as
well, there
Brevin
was
Jordan, backup
there
tight
was
end.
some misinformation. He didn't miss practice. He was limited in practice, so like he's not
But
missing
you just
practices.
don't
It makes a
like to
difference.
see that, but-
Yeah, but that's part of football. Like players get limited
Yeah.
in practice.
No, I get it.
Missing
You pop in,
practice makes
like
a big
12
difference.
Advils on game day, and you fucking buckle up and get out there. Let's
I don't
go.
think they're giving him Advil.
Now, are they
ibuprofen.
are they getting Noah Brown back this week?
I want to say that I heard that he's still going to be hurt, but I'm not positive on that.
No, I believe he's in the rotation.
Yeah, I
He's
think,
on the healthier
because they've been
side.
on
He's on
kind
the
of a
positive side.
carousel to where one of them gets hurt,
Yeah.
comes off, the next one's going on. Like It's just
Now
they're
it's
just
now it's Dalton
rotating out
Schultz's
there.
turn.
So he's
Dalton
still
Schultz.
questionable.
Schultz is out.
So like I said, do y'all like Brevin Jordan this week?
So he missed practice today, and
Yeah.
he is
He's definitely a
still
streamer.
questionable. Noah Brown missed practice and is questionable for Sunday.
I like what you just said there, Austin. I do like Brevin Jordan this week as a very sneaky play, and especially more than likely he's still out there on your waivers somewhere. I'd snatch him
100%.
up, especially because there's so many decent tight ends that are on bye this week. Almost all 3 of my leagues, I have 3 different tight ends. They're all on a bye. I've had to
Jeez.
rotate a tight end every league. And I'm fighting for my life in every league. It's been a struggle this year.
Yeah, it
Like
looks
7
like
and
Dalton
5 in
Schultz
every league.
is likely to
It's
miss.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah, he's going to be out.
Yeah. That's why we're talking about Brevin.
Because of the, enormity of this game, Texans being minus 3.5, that
plus money.
That tricky number, that's why it's plus money, is because they're giving you that hook there.
They're just
Texans
like the
minus
Chargers.
3.5, or we'll say, might want to build it into a parlay, or maybe you like to play a little juice. Minus 168 on the money line. Broncos plus 142. Which way are y'all leaning in this game?
I cannot buy it. Like, Denver just is not exciting enough for me to put money on them. Like, Houston all day. Like,
okay, we're
I'll
not
try to
talking
buy it
money though.
down to
Like,
the
just
2.5.
who's winning this game?
Oh,
Don't put money
Houston.
on. Just who's winning this game?
Houston's gonna win. They got more explosiveness. They got it in the bag. Russ
I
ain't gonna
agree.
cook enough for this one. I think the defense shows up. Defense is gonna show up on both sides, so maybe the under could be intriguing. It's a high over for
It is
2
high.
teams who have just started to get
47.5.
right, and like they could easily shut each other down. Like the Texans' defense is no slouch.
Put simply, I think that the biggest thing with this game is going to be Javonte Williams. If Javonte Williams can get it going against the Houston rush defense that's been pretty poor so far this year, then Denver's going to be able to control this game. They're going to be able to win by playing good defense and running the ball well. Houston's still going to have their chance at a last-second victory, and that'll be the coin flip on who wins or loses. I think that Denver at plus 3.5, though, is a safer bet. I think this game is definitely going to be within 3 points either way. So taking Denver at 3.5 means that you're basically guaranteeing a victory.
And I can see that too. This is one of those games where you could see it either way, just mostly with the way the Broncos have been playing. Now, I pick Houston simply because of the home factor. If this game was in Denver, I don't believe I'd be picking the Texans. I believe they're the way these teams are playing right now, I think they're that close. The Broncos are a much different team than they were earlier in the season.
So let's see if you think the same thing on the next matchup. Detroit is going into New Orleans, also getting to play in a dome. Detroit, we know, plays better in non-weather scenarios because Jared Goff.
Yes.
Yeah. So minus 4.5 for Detroit, even though they're away. They've only lost, is it 3 games so far this season? 47 over-under.
8-3, yep.
So I think Detroit's got it. Derek Carr's healthy, right? We have a healthy Carr.
Yes.
Derek Carr's healthy. Now, their wide receiver situation is...
Olave's not playing this week?
Let me check.
So basically, you throw all your money on
he is
Kamara's
right now. He is
receptions.
questionable after coming off of a concussion from last week. He is questionable.
And it's only a week.
I don't show Shaheed on the injury report right now. However, they do still have Michael Thomas out. So if Olave is out for the game,
so on Olave,
Taysom Hill has a lot of value in this game.
Olave had restrictions on Wednesday and Thursday, but a full practice on Friday.
He's good to go then.
He's on course. He does have one more check that he has to overcome, but he should be able to play on Sunday with having a
Just
full
gotta
practice
pass that
Friday.
computer test.
Which
Yeah,
basically
I don't
means
know.
when he checks in on Saturday with the team doctors and everything and they clear him, he's good to go.
Yep.
So he should have a great day, as well as Kamara with them receptions.
Now, as
Hammered
far
out.
as
It's going to be set at 4.5. He'll get 6 or 7.
yeah,
Easy.
especially versus now the Lions defense hasn't been playing as good of
We don't
late
need
as
him to
they
go
were
anywhere
earlier
with
in the
that ball.
season.
That's the thing. We
But
just need to catch it.
They still, Aiden Hutchinson is becoming a dude. Like, we knew he was set to become a dude when he got drafted. How the Jaguars passed on him, I will always believe that the Lions paid the owner of the Jaguars, Shad Khan. They paid him significant money to not take Aiden Hutchinson.
Who'd
so
they
he
take
could stay
instead?
home in Michigan. Trevon Walker. Now, Trevon has been a solid season this year compared to just an invisible rookie year. So it's not completely going to call him a bust yet. But, man, Aiden Hutchinson, I do agree. Him being able to get that pressure, Alvin Kamara should be dump-off city.
How
Now,
about us?
I like
We got some dogs.
I like the Lions minus the 4.5 in this game. Now, I know it's in New Orleans. The Saints have a better defense than the Lions have, but the Lions have a much better offense than the Saints have as far as explosiveness, being able to put points on the board. So because of that, I like the Lions to be able to break a couple big plays and, take an early lead and just hold on to it.
Yeah, this should be an easy sweep for him. It's in a dome, so there's no worry with the weather. A lot of these games are going to be affected by weather.
I don't like how close the Lions have been keeping their games. I think that this might be one of those get-right games that Austin's always talking about. That Detroit needs to win this game in not just a winning fashion, but like we're the better, more dominant team on all three fronts. If we don't see that from Detroit, I think that we're going to see a difficult playoff run for them. This really is the time of year where we're in December now. Football's happening in December. It's time to start winning games without any excuses. I think that the same is right for Indianapolis. Even though they lost their first round, number 4 overall pick quarterback very early in the season, they've still been pretty much competing for a playoff spot the whole time. They really haven't shut down and spent any time thinking of next year. They're still hunting for right now. They have Tennessee.
Minshew mania.
I love it. He's a little bit better of a passer, so you kind of have a different offense. I was actually talking to a Colts fan this past week, and I guess the offensive coordinator and just in general, the thoughts within the team is that the offense that they can run with Gardner is much more of an NFL offense, and that they were kind of uncomfortable running the Anthony Richardson offense because it limits them so much. And I think that if once he develops as a player, that'll change, and luckily they'll have a whole offseason for that.
That's shocking to me.
Them.
Well, that's shocking to me
having a player like that.
Now, I understand all the other players, but where
good call,
Shane Steichen came over from Philly, that system with Jalen Hurts, we all thought, oh, well, shit, Anthony Richardson's just going to step right in there. And hell, he was showing it. Dude had a rushing touchdown in every game he played in.
Every single one.
He got hurt every game he played in until eventually he got hurt for too long. But, I mean, nonetheless, he was out there just pounding it in. So this is the Colts are another one of those teams, though. 6-5 in the AFC. Again, like I said, their playoffs are starting now.
Must win. Tennessee's not in a must-win scenario. In a lot of ways, Tennessee wants to lose this game because Tennessee is hoping to get Drake May if they can't get Caleb Williams.
The players don't, but the owners.
Go for another quarterback, bro.
Well, that's a good point. I guess they have Will Levis, but they still need top 2 talent.
I think quarterbacks the type to where if they can snag a top 4 pick, they pray for Marvin Harrison Jr. to drop to them.
Oh well, he's not dropping past 2.
That's going
Mike Vrabel, because they let go of AJ Brown. Mike Vrabel is also from where? The Ohio State University. Mike Vrabel was a DC where? The Ohio State University. Like, there's so many ties there to where, like, Marvin Harrison Jr., if the right situation, he might be a Tennessee Titan. Learn from DeAndre Hopkins if D-Hop decides to stay there a little bit. So I'm with you there. The Titans really don't, like, they know they're not going to win out and be able to go 10-7. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Nope.
So for me, I do agree. I like the Colts. It's basically a pick 'em minus 118 on the money line.
Yeah, and minus 1.5. I mean, why would you not take that at minus 105? I mean, that's crazy. Like that's great. That's basically a pick 'em, like you said. So 42.5 over under. What do you think of that, Austin?
That is right where it should be for. That's actually a bit low because I could see.
Remember the weather I mentioned.
The divisional matchup. Weather does.
Outside divisional matchup. You just said it.
Running teams.
I lean the under here.
Yeah, I lean under. What I like in this game is the running backs to score, both of them on either side. Zach Moss and Derrick Henry. That's what I like in this game. Also, of course, with Pittman's receptions.
Pittman's, I was literally just looking at that. 6.5 is what it's set at right now. I love the over on that.
Give me his
the guys put up 8
please.
receptions in a handful of games this year. And
I think
his
all but
yardage
3.
is set. Yeah. And his yardage is set at 67.5.
Need that too. This is going to be another CeeDee Lamb game. And anytime touchdown.
That correlates with his receptions and his yards per catch. Like, if you think he's getting 7 receptions, he's probably going to get 70 yards.
He did that with Downs out, right? When Downs was out there, he wasn't getting.
He did it last week, and Downs was in there.
Okay, yeah. So
he had 6 or 7 receptions in the first half last week.
I mean, the freaking Minshew's spinning that pill, so.
Yep. So, I like the Colts every which way in this game.
I think that you're not going to say that about the next matchup. We got Atlanta Falcons at the New York Jets, minus 1.5 for Atlanta.
Why don't you go ahead and say that over under?
Yeah, 33.5. I guess they think Atlanta's going to put up 30 points. I don't understand how that's going to happen.
I don't know if you see that over under that low in a girls' middle school basketball game. And those games will end 9-6. And you better believe it. I've seen it happen.
Though. I'm still on the under. Like, I can see this ending.
I'm still on the under. Like I said, is Atlanta putting up 25? Like,
6-3.
No.
Now, what you do have to worry about, though, is an errant Tim Boyle interception. Perhaps, like, that could go for 6, put him in good scoring position.
That happened last week.
Last
week they were playing against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins put up 34. But look at what every other offense has been able to put up against the Jets. They're not giving up 20 points to very many teams.
The Jets over under total points is set at 16.5.
The total points for them to score?
The Jets team total points is set at 16.5.
Under on that. But what's the Falcons at?
Yeah, have they scored more than 20 in like the last 2 months? Like, geez, guys, come on.
And the Falcons are at 17.5.
Yeah,
that's so disrespectful that it's like a 1 point difference.
The Jets
and that
have
offense
a solid
is
defense.
So much better.
They're elite versus the pass, but they've shown they're susceptible to the run, which leads you to believe a lot of Bijan, a lot of Tyler Algier, a lot of that clock chewing. So I agree with you, especially it's in New York. Weather.
This game is going to finish
and
3-6.
Sucks. MetLife turf sucks. That's the worst stadium to play in, aside from DC, because the Commander Stadium is also terrible for injuries. And
speaking of which,
I agree. I like the under on the Jets' total points for sure.
I almost didn't want to watch the most recent Dolphins Hard Knocks because I knew that it was just going to all be about.
That was bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I understand what they're doing for the production, but you're going to sit there and you're gonna have an entire episode basically previewing Jalen Phillips, how
And
he's
how
coming
sick
on,
he's gonna be,
how he's gonna be. You're gonna
and
show
then season
McDaniel
ending.
walking up to him
Y'all
pregame, talking
don't. So
about how
y'all
you're gonna
y'all don't
become
watch
elite.
enough reality
This is
TV.
your
That's what they do.
come out game right
They-
here.
But
This
it
is
was
when you're putting
bullshit. We
yourself on the
hated it.
map.
No,
Like,
that's
'Cause
reality
we
TV
saw it
for you.
happening
They
the
hype
whole
a
time.
person up and they make you fall in love with them, and then they just shut you
No.
down. They kill them
No.
off. They do something. So I shed tears in that shit when I was watching. That was
Dude, straight up.
It was
and
so
I knew
impactful,
it was
like-
gonna happen. I knew it was happening.
Yeah.
And it was
But
right.
you just felt for him.
It
so
was the
bad, 'cause
moment
he came
that
off
that he
injuries
broke
already,
down.
Like he's the battle for him. To
Whenever
get back.
Mike came over and they were talking to him and he was still sitting down on the ground, and then all of a sudden he just broke down and it all hit him
Yeah.
at once that his season was done, that his shit popped, and that he's gonna be gone for the rest of the year. Bro, it hurt. It hurt
Yeah,
a
It
lot.
made me realize that's
felt
why I'm
the
not
pop.
in the NFL. God.
And for me,
Looking-
it wasn't. It was the whole like the realization, the look in his eyes.
Dude, what
of,
Mike said to him at the
"Are
beginning
you
of the game.
kidding me? Like,
Oh,
are
yeah.
you kidding me? I'm gonna have another season go out like this." And like, yeah, that's what I said. Like them showing Mike going up to him, talking about, "This is your coming out.
You're going to
party."
be a household name after tonight. And,
and he
my
was
first
on
thought,
his way there.
my first thought
was
is that
on-
he probably is now.
He
Everyone's
was
going to know
balling,
about.
bro. But he was balling, bro. Like he was on his way there. Like he was being talked about the whole game. He was in on every play. Like
So good.
yeah, it sucked. But
so good.
they
They
still
get
got
the
games to
Commanders.
play.
And they got
They
the
still got
Commanders
games
this
to
week.
play.
They're favored 9.5. I'm pretty sure that that's the largest point total for the day. For the whole,
It is.
for all of
Largest
them.
point total. They're the biggest favorite on the money line this week.
And everyone is still saying hammer 9.5 because that's not even
I think
close.
you were mentioning that, Justin, compared to the Cowboys Seattle game, you were trying to compare the two on like how the spread is the same, but like the caliber and teams are much different.
Seriously, though, that's a good point. Like, it's
So, like-
crazy that the Cowboys spread was so much whenever in reality, like, Seattle is their playoff, a really good
They
team.
could
like,
be the best team in football based on how DK
talent
plays.
and like, well,
Just
they,
DK.
they've got
Who
got
can
running
cover
game,
him?
they've got 3 receivers, they've got a quarterback, they've got a defense, they've got everything that you need.
Well, they're
The
starting
Commanders
to
have none of those things. They don't
they're
have one
starting
thing we
to
just named.
see, like Seattle's starting to see where their strength is, and that's with their 3 receiver set
Bruh.
because of JSN. Dude balled out last night.
He
For
didn't
me, that
even
was
look
his
that
coming
good,
out
but
party.
it was enough. Yeah, that was enough.
Well, that's the thing. He gave me so many Keenan Allen vibes.
Mm.
Like
Just
just
gritty.
the route running,
Great
the
catch
sure
in the end zone.
catching.
I got taken
He
back.
went,
Bro,
Gino
I don't know
went
if that had
Gino
that
went
much
to
movement. I don't know
JSN.
if I like that. Yeah,
Gino
sorry.
went to JSN on 3rd down more than any receiver last night. The
Which
rookie
is
on
money
3rd
down.
down.
Money down. And
Exactly.
you see how much he's been talking to him on the sidelines. You see how much Gino loves this kid. Like, he loves him.
Now 49.5 over under in this Dolphins Commanders game.
That's because the Dolphins are in it. The Dolphins will never have an under 48 for the rest of the season, bro. They put up 70 in a game on their own.
Not to
Like,
compare them to the Cowboys.
that was
again,
100
but, like,
points. 100 points was put up in that game.
Cowboys have been putting up 41 every single game. And
Now,
same with the Dolphins. They're just putting
With the
up
minus
like,
9.5 spread, we can only assume game script is going to dictate the Commanders are going to be passing a lot. So
Yeah.
I want to highlight some things on the Commanders and see how y'all feel on them, either which way. Sam Howell, over under 271.5 passing yards.
Under.
That's
I know that they're going to be down a lot
It's
and that they're going to have to
deep,
throw a lot,
but-
but dude, they're going to have to throw against Ramsey and Ogba's still there. Like, this pass rush is
That's the
still.
key, is this defense, especially since Ramsey has come back, is playing much different than they were when they got wiped by Buffalo in the beginning of
the
the
thing is
Exactly.
though, they're getting a lot of receiving work with their running backs, and that helps them. That's going to push that ball for Sam.
That's
and
a
his
good
yards.
point.
Like, it eats up.
Watching these games, though, Austin, our corners and our linebackers are getting tackles 7-8 yards at the most on running backs and tight ends. Like, they're not giving up big totals. Just in general, they're playing pretty lockdown. I don't think that the Commanders are going to be able to eat. I think that if it was 241 for Sam Howell, I would slam that. Welcome
But
to the stream,
it's
by the way, viewers.
So, looking at the receiving lines, Terry McLaurin, just give me over under here. We're going to go through these quick. Terry McLaurin, over under 56.5.
Over.
over.
I agree. Logan Thomas, over under 35.5.
Over.
Curtis Samuel, 34.5. Same for Jahan Dotson.
I want to say under for
He
Jahan,
gets a lot
over
more
for
end
Curtis.
arounds.
That's where I'm at too.
Yeah.
I actually picked up Curtis in a fantasy league and dropped Jahan for him. Because with Demario Douglas being out, I had to have somebody else for my flex spot. So Curtis is stepping up into that role. That's why I kind of made a face, because everything in me is telling me to slam Curtis and Jahan's over. Because Terry does not really work from the slot very much. So on either side, he's going up against Ramsey or X.
I think he can beat X though. I think
True.
that the reason I
He's
say
got the speed
over
to beat X
for
for sure.
56 is because Terry does only need one play, and I think that he gets it. I think that there's a likelihood that he gets 30 yards on one play, and that he's able to bang out another 26 over 3 more catches, like 4 for 60. I think that that's a doable day for him against Ramsey and our offense, and like it's because of Curtis and Logan and Jahan and all these other people drawing the attention they're drawing. I think that that'll help Terry get enough space. He's good enough of a receiver to squeeze out what he can, and Sam's gonna get something. Like I said, 240, I'm going over. But 270, I don't think he gets. I don't think he gets close to 300 versus us.
I think we're talking about the wrong side of the ball, though, boys, to feel real confident.
I mean, bro, you should be slamming every Dolphin if you have him. Like, yeah.
Jalen Waddle, 68.5.
hold it.
Well, I was gonna
Hold
say
your
Waddle
horses.
70.
Durham
Tyreek,
Smith,
Tyreek
14.5?
100, easy. I mean,
104.
easy.
Then you've got the only other receiver they have listed as far as receiving yards right now is Durham Smythe. But that's because Achane is set to come back this week. He is playing for sure. So with Achane, the way Jeff Wilson Jr.'s looked the last couple weeks,
you're gonna look stupid next week.
the way Jeff Wilson Jr. has looked the last couple weeks, and with Raheem, they have no idea how to project these Dolphins running backs right now. They're not even listed on their rushing yards.
The Washington Commanders have no idea how to defend this running core for the Dolphins right now. That's what's really going to be
is Raheem
interesting.
Mostert healthy?
Yes.
Is he going to play?
All 3 are healthy.
Yeah.
All 3 are healthy.
One
That's
thing
what's scary.
I know it's not listed
Achane's
yet.
healthy, bro. He didn't play
I'm
last week.
immediately looking for is Achane's alternate rushing lines. And I'm going to 80, 90, and 100 yards. And I'm just seeing what the odds are on those. Because if it's sitting over his first game back, you have to figure it's probably going to be set at maybe 37.5, 42.5. So you're slamming, you'd want to slam that if you know for sure he's healthy and he's getting 10 to 12 touches.
Why
But for
play
the
him if you
simple
don't have
fact,
to?
for the simple fact of he can break an 80-yard run at any point.
Gotta get him going.
I for sure am willing to sprinkle some on 100+ rushing yards on his alternate line if I'm getting good value on it.
See, I wouldn't want just the rushing though, because he did have 200 yards rushing in his first game ever, but he also had like 140 receiving or something crazy. So I would rather a combo. If I was going to go 100 yards, I'd rather that it was 100 all-purpose yards instead of just 100 rushing. Only because of what we were just saying. Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson being healthy means that it could be that he only receives 30% of the snaps. He's definitely the best running back whenever fully healthy and blah, blah, blah. But like Austin said, why do we need him? We don't need him to win this game, A. We need him to get going. We need him to get some work in, to get some gel with our offensive line and just in general with Tua and all of that. But we don't need to give him 70% of the touches when Raheem and Jeff are playing lights out. as well.
That's why
Now-
I think Jeff Wilson gets the most work in this game because I think you're going to be up by 3 touchdowns. And so
Now-
why would you have Mostert or Achane
I
out
do
there?
want to throw this
That's a good
out
point,
there.
Austin.
I do want to throw this out there. Before his injury, he got the start over Mostert.
100%. He
Also-
started the game.
Also, when he came back from injury versus the Raiders before he ended up going out early
He was
on,
the starter. He started the game.
So you figure if he starts this game, I immediately am looking at his prop and going and checking it live. Because if he starts, you can only assume he's going to get a minimum of 10 touches. And if you're giving me 10 touches from Achane, I'm absolutely betting his over on his rushing.
It's risky.
Moving on
You're playing with fire.
a divisional matchup
Austin got burned. He
in
got
a
PTSD.
For real?
in a non-dome stadium. So Carolina Panthers are playing at Tampa Bay. Tampa's favored -5.5 with a 36.5 over. Probably southeast, probably going to be shit weather. Also in Tampa. Tampa gets a little bit, rainy in general. A little bit of that overcast. I think that the Panthers are punting on the season, even though there's no reason to. I mean, they fired their owner, and you guys are gonna tell them, or they should have fired their owner. They fired
Interim
their
coach
coach.
rule.
I don't see it this week, man. It's just a roster difference for me. I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers actually potentially have a playoff roster with Baker and all the other pieces they have. Their offensive line's a little bit weak, but that's really their big weakness as a team. That and neither one of their receivers are like elite status. They're both in that like mediocre to
Now-
like top tier.
As of right now, Chris Godwin is questionable with a head injury. Baker, just something to monitor, was the,
Is the
ankle,
ankle.
injury. Now, he played through it.
That's because he's
And-
Baker Mayfield,
Yeah.
Napoleon
and so,
complex.
don't do him like that. He's a
He
dog.
feels like he has to play through it, dude. Like everyone else would just be
Nah.
like, "Oh, well, wait till next year." Baker's like, "There is no next year. I'm only 6 foot. Let's go right the fuck now."
Now, so no, I love the Bucks in this game. One thing I'm looking at for sure is Rashad White's rushing. It's set at 62.5 right now.
Whoa! Let me stop you there, buddy.
I
His
still feel like
receptions.
that's a little low. Now, I say his rushing because the Panthers are the worst team versus the run in the league right now, especially at least fantasy wise.
I get that.
So when you allocate that towards yards and production, I'm
They
looking
like to
at the
get
over
White
on
in
his
space,
rushing.
though.
Now, I'll give you this. His rushing plus receiving line, 91.5.
Oh, hammer that.
I hammer that. That's the one I look at. Because his receiving prop right now is 23.5.
Okay,
The
no,
only
you don't do that
reason-
90. You just put all the money on the receiving. That's
see,
so low for him.
That is low because where he gets 3 to 4, 5 receptions a
At
game.
least it's in the game script.
Yeah, you figure 7 receptions each, he's breaking that for sure on 4 catches. Now, the one thing that's where to me their game script is dictating the Bucks are going to be up most of this game. So they're not going to have the need to pass or dump off to the running back because they may not be in 3rd and long situations where that happens very much. But Carolina's defense has been somewhat solid this year. So I agree with you. I hammer the over on that 23.5 receiving line as well.
I mean, maybe Adam Thielen could be spicy in this game if, Bryce Young wants to throw the pill to him.
I
Notice-
just want to see more from Carolina's offense before I really start to gamble that they're going to do anything.
Yeah,
Well, just
Thielen's
because
been a disappointment the
the
last
Bucks,
couple weeks.
the Bucks do shut down the run game. So if there's any production being made, it's going to be in the receiving game, and they're going to
But
be
they
down,
have
so
a
they're going
good
to have
pass
to throw
rush
the
too,
ball.
man.
And Bryce Young
Carolina-
has to show why he was a number 1 draft pick. So like,
I don't think he
he's
has to show
or else
anything this
he's
year.
not gonna have a job there for long if he doesn't show some talent.
He's got at least another year. He knows
I lean
that.
the under
And they're going to try to
in
surround him.
this game. Just throwing that out.
36.5. Wow.
36.5 with
Yeah, that's a
potential
low.
bad weather.
You think
And
he goes to bed at night feeling good that he,
Dude, he
was the
goes
number
to
one
bed
draft
at
pick and
night
CJ
with...
drafted behind him? Is freaking. He's
Dude,
the Hollywood now.
he goes to bed at night with someone hotter than anybody you've ever met wrapping their mouth
That's not true.
around his member. So
That's not
he's fine. All right.
You don't know where I've been.
I know where you've been. All right.
You don't
Tampa's not that nice.
you don't know my life.
So
my
San
life,
Francisco goes to Philadelphia. San Francisco's minus 2.5 favored.
Best game of the slate.
Best game of the slate. 47.5. I mean, I am
In Philly again. Like,
Well,
we're
okay.
gonna get shit weather again.
So there's two games that could potentially
Barely
happen.
gonna be able to see the field because for whatever reason the cameras in Philly just suck. That disappoints me so hard.
They just need to win a Super Bowl so they can get some money. So one game could potentially be that Philadelphia has 0 penalties and San Fran has all of them. And then another game could be like a real football game. And I think if we see that, San Fran does win. But if the other game happens where Philly can't do anything wrong because the refs want to make it to their cars safe at night, then Philly's going to win this game. Like, they know how to win that type of football when they can play mistake-free.
They don't play mistake-free just for whatever reason. The refs just do not throw flags on them. It's
I mean,
bullshit.
dude, would you want to
But
get stabbed
also-
going to your car?
No, fuck that. Come stab me. I'm made of steel. I'm gonna break your knife, son.
No, that's
No,
that's
all right.
scary
Couple
being
lines I
stabbed.
want to throw out there to you again. I just want to get over under, and this is because of the strength of the Philadelphia's run defense, but the weakness of their pass defense. Christian McCaffrey's rushing yards is at 73.5. Don't like that?
I
That's
like
the
the under
best.
on that.
That's
like
the
the under on
best running back in football.
Yeah, but that's
True.
just one of the best defenses.
It is.
in
His
stopping the run in football.
his receiving props 33.5 receiving yards.
They're not afraid to just throw him the ball, get him in space. It's the same with Rashad White.
4.5 receptions.
They'd rather get him in space and let him work instead of shoving him down the middle to get beaten up by this big old defensive line. This is not a small front he's going up against. It's the biggest dude.
San Fran also has the best running scheme. It's not just that they have the best running back. They also scheme better than anybody else. Now, no, they don't have Mike McDaniel anymore. But, like, dude, they've been fine. I don't know. I hear what you guys are saying. And I understood before we even started bringing this up that Philly has one. Cleveland has.
They're also. I
the
think they'll
best.
also be down in this game.
Tampa Bay has, like, the second best. And then Philly's right there on rush defenses. I still think that Christian McCaffrey eats. He's the
Do you
best running
think
back
that
in football.
49ers will be up?
See, I
Because
love Ayuk's line of
Eagles-
65.5, Debo's line of 51.5, Kittle's line of 47.5.
Does
All
Because
Debo
you
have
think Philly
rushing
goes up.
prop?
Well, not only that, Philly's pass defense is super weak. They give up crazy amount of yards and fantasy points to wide receivers and tight ends. They're one of the worst teams in the league versus both. Quarterbacks as well. Brock Purdy, 254 yards. If you do project the Niners to be down or if this to be a bit of a shootout, I'm looking at the over on that one too.
I like Jalen Hurts' rushing based off of the San Fran's defense and what they can provide coming off
41
the edge.
and a half?
The man, yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean that line's been
He's
set at
gonna
that
get-
all year long.
he's gonna get
and he can
15
get it with
yards
healthy
off the
legs.
tush push.
Legit.
Seriously.
So I mean, you're just asking for one scramble, as well
And-
as Debo Samuel's rushing. I mean, he's been getting a lot of work in the backfield as well as end arounds, and it's set at
12.5.
12.5. You're looking at a first down from this guy.
You
Come
just
on
need
now.
one breakaway. Just one solid
Not
second
even a
level run.
breakaway.
Just
15
make it
yard
to the
run.
second level, you're good.
2 first downs, and we
Jalen
Gucci.
Hurts anytime touchdown is minus 105. Just throwing that out there
Oh,
because he is the
are you
ultimate vulture.
freaking kidding me? So that I know we've had a lot of great plays, but this
McCaffrey is
one,
minus
this
230.
one's the best one.
McCaffrey is always like minus 200 every
Oh well,
week
that one,
because
that
he's-
one you have to add in with 25 receiving, 25 rushing, and then his touchdown, and then you can get it to even money, and you're golden.
Who wins this game?
The Eagles, Fly.
That's the big
Philly,
money question.
fly.
I like the 49ers. I think the Eagles are due for a loss. I
They've
think
been playing
after
some
the game that they
hard-nosed
just
football
went
against some good
against
teams.
versus Buffalo, they had to put so much into that game. It was
Chiefs.
a sloppy game. I lean 49ers on this. I don't care if that it's in Philly.
I think that if Philadelphia has any chance at all of making an actual deep playoff run, they need to lose this game. They've been playing and are going to continue to play a very difficult playoff schedule through like the last final 6 weeks of the whole season. They need to drop a couple.
If they win this game.
They're going to get number 1 seed regardless.
No, they're not. If
Yeah,
they lose this game, and they lose to Dallas,
they're not going to lose to
then
Dallas.
they're screwed. What do you mean? How can you say something like that?
If they lose this game, they're not going to.
How can you sit on this podcast and say something like that when they almost lost to them?
If they lose this game, they're not going to lose another game until they lose and they're out of the playoffs.
We got a buffoon.
That game versus Dallas is in Dallas, correct?
Yeah, they've won 14 straight at home. Come on now.
Yeah.
We rallied,
well, not
boys.
even that. It's just the way that offense also fires at home. Like, I don't know if I can just right out say, oh, they're not losing to, or they're not losing to Dallas.
If they lose this game, they're not losing another game. Cleveland Browns at Los Angeles. Los Angeles Rams minus.
I hate Nick Sirianni's face.
Minus 3.5. Rams are favored with a 40.5 over under.
Under.
Joe Flacco is starting.
Under. When's the last time Joe Flacco played a football game?
Last year for the Jets. It was very bad, very ugly. Apparently, his arm strength looks very good.
Oh yeah. Apparently, he's in the best shape he's ever been in his life.
He's 38 years old, by the way.
He's
guys.
ready to go. He's 38, but he feels 28. Like, oh yeah. I'm sure.
Him
Oh, I don't hear y'all talking about that way about Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady when
Aaron
he was in the
Rodgers
league.
is the greatest quarterback of all time.
And Joe Flacco was at one point too. So come on.
No, he wasn't. He was never Aaron Rodgers. Ever.
They don't have any player props posted because I wanted to look at Njoku's line.
For receptions, whatever it is, go over. Unless it's 6 or 7.
Especially
which
with
it
a
won't be.
quarterback
With
like this.
It
DTR,
won't be.
Deshaun, or PJ Walker, I'm absolutely saying yes. But with Joe Flacco,
You don't know. I think
don't
Amari. Honestly, Amari is the line that I would go over.
Is Amari playing?
The last that I'd seen, he was playing. Amari's definitely the best player that they have. Yeah, Amari's healthy. He's not even questionable.
You're wrong forward, boy.
Okay.
So he's the best player that they have. So that's probably who Flacco will just funnel the ball to. He'll be the most open. He'll have the most connection with him in practice. He'll just focus on Amari.
What if Joe Flacco comes out and throws for like 350 and 3 tutties?
I mean, I'm now taking Amari Cooper and moving him into a starting lineup.
What if he just comes
this.
out and just starts freaking slinging it, bro?
Spinning that pill, bro.
Like
against a defense who doesn't really have a good secondary. Like they lost Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean,
They've been in games that
they've been playing
high
solid,
scoring.
and they still have Aaron Donald. But yeah, I mean, this is a low total for a reason at 40.5. This is just the complete unknown of this game, so I'm going to take the Rams at home because I am not betting on Joe Flacco. Now, I will tell you the under in this game is a prime under bet for any teasers you might be putting together this week.
If Cleveland Browns had the 2 best players on their football team in this game, then I would still bet them. But Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are both not going to play.
They're both out.
I mean, dude, Nick Chubb's been out for the whole season.
I know. Well, you said the best 2 players on their football team.
Do we really know what Nick Chubb even is anymore? He doesn't have half of his leg. It doesn't.
So Aaron Rodgers can
it's
come
not
back
part of his body.
But Nick Chubb can't come back.
Yeah, dude, he didn't lose half of his
squats
leg.
800 pounds.
Dude, I'm pretty sure that alligator from Peter Pan came and took half of Nick Chubb's leg. I saw it. I saw it in that video.
He's not Travis Hunter. He
with
didn't
a peg
snap
leg.
his shit.
Nah, dude. Nick Chubb is. He's not going to be a top 10 running back anymore. He's too old to sustain that type of injury.
Whoa.
Look at what's
Whoa.
look at what's happening to Austin Eckler right now.
He's not Austin Eckler, bro.
He's
Jalen Hurts is a running back.
He
can squat 1,000 pounds.
He has led the league in yards after contact in every year that he's been in the league.
And if he wants to maintain a 5.0 average for his entire
he's only
career,
27.
If he wants to maintain a 5.0 average for his entire career, then he needs to retire right now. Because he will not be a 5 yards per carry.
27.
Bro, he just lost his whole damn
his leg is still attached. I need you to
lost
stop
it.
with that.
It's
You're
gone.
spreading misinformation.
It's gone, bro.
His leg is
I
not
saw
off
it,
his
man.
body.
I saw it. The alligator from Peter Pan.
Still a top 5
rubber
running back in the
band.
league.
That is
Dude.
all. Have you ever seen that? You remember that scene from
we'll
Harry
all
Potter where his bones are just
don't
gone?
do that.
That's
Don't
what
do that.
happened.
Don't do
Just
that,
a-
dude.
a
I don't
little
want
bit
to.
of-
Oh,
little
I'm
bit of
seeing
this
it
right here.
again.
What kind of juice did he have to drink?
Come on
All right.
now.
I don't
Poly
remember.
juice. He had to drink the poly juice.
No, that's what makes them change. But let's not nerd out.
Pumpkin
Kansas
juice.
City
Pumpkin juice.
is going to Green Bay. They're favored -6.
Sunday night football. Chris Collinsworth
Sunday
special.
night
We're
football.
gonna get to hear him cream over Patrick Mahomes all night.
Which is actually
the
fine
best
because at
quarterback
least he's a
in
really good
football.
quarterback. At least he's a really
And
good
so
quarterback.
So is Dak
This
Prescott based off
season,
stats.
What's going to be interesting is what he says about Jordan Love the whole time, because he's probably going to try to suck his dick after he played last week. He's going to try to get on it early.
I have gotten to where I just do not like watching Collinsworth and Tony Romo.
Just this season.
Games.
Just
No,
this season.
certain
No, I don't
games.
understand why everyone hates on Romo. I understand that he talks
if Romo
too much.
is watching a Josh Allen football game.
Yes, agreed.
Josh Allen will
Agreed.
throw it away on 3rd and 10, and Romo. That's a genius football play right there. Like,
Yeah.
bro, get his balls out of your mouth. Like, come on now.
It's been it's not just him. It's every announcer, and it's because they were all trying to say that he's the next big thing, and he obviously isn't. But we don't.
I
have
don't
to
like
talk
talking
about
about
that.
announcers because they're just like the most commercialized people talking. Like, I wish we didn't have to listen to them. We could just listen to music and the crowd.
I like
love
Tony
Jordan
Romo.
Love in this
Except for whenever he's talking about Josh Allen, I like Tony Romo because Tony Romo has an insight that most announcers don't, and you don't ever really get to get. You don't get to get a real football insight.
Unless you talk to me, we're good.
I love Jordan Love in this game.
No pun intended.
I think no pun intended. Like 227.5 yards is his over under.
What?
I'm
Well,
slamming.
that's because the Kansas City Chiefs have been playing really, really good football.
Their defense is very good this year.
What are
defense,
Jaden
doubt.
Reed and Christian Watson's lines? That's what's really interesting to me because
Christian Watson 42.5, Romeo Dubs 37.5. They do not have Jaden Reed's line listed.
It's just like you were saying before about it's because he's going to run some
He's questionable with a midsection injury. So he's questionable with what can only be a rib, oblique, something along those lines. It just says torso. He's questionable, so that's why his line's not listed. But Christian Watson, especially after the way he looked last week versus Detroit. Now, I know Kansas City's defense is much better, but he can get that in one play. Like just one deep ball.
Legit.
Like 42.5. Romeo Dubs 37.5. And if you expect this to be a game where the Packers are down, I don't know how you don't hit the over on those. Rashee Rice 47.5. How do you not slam the over on that?
What's his reception sitting at?
Rashee's receptions
4.5.
4.5, but
10
positive money. Plus 106 on that.
I love it. I love that. Hammer that for me. $25. Come on.
Now,
Easy 50.
the Packers are weak versus the run. Isaiah Pacheco, 67.5. For me, I feel like that's the fence. Because that's right around where I kind of would expect him at in this game. Because I don't think the Chiefs are just going to go out here and just dominate this game. I don't.
But So Packers have shown that they're weak in the run game. Chiefs
Mhm.
should be up in this game. Isaiah shows that he can run the fuck out of that ball. I mean, give me Isaiah his over. Like,
This is prime time.
there's not a lot of people in this league that show that type of heart when they're running the ball. So just like they're gonna give him the pill.
Aaron
enough.
Jones already confirmed out. This is prime time. Over under a 42.5. If you're doing the math with me, that's 6 touchdowns. Do you think 6 touchdowns are scored in this game?
No,
I think it's possible
because
that
Kansas City
4-2.
doesn't score 4. No, they're not scoring 4 touchdowns.
Why not? There's
That's
one to
just not what
Kelsey,
their
one to
offense has
Rasheed,
been.
one to Pacheco, and one.
It's like
with
Andy Reid has
Mahomes running
accepted
it.
the fact that their defense is top 5 in the league. So he's decided that he's going to play like he has a top 5 defense. That means it means controlling the ball and not just airing it out and having a potential 3 and out for no reason. Like, it means playing good, smart, safe football. I think Pacheco's numbers could be really good. Green Bay's decent, really, really good against the pass, but not as good against the run. So I think that that's more of where I would lean.
Now, my outlook on why I go the under is because for me, we just spoke about it with Detroit. Their defense has not been as good as it was the first few weeks of the season. Last week on Thanksgiving, primetime game, it's Thursday. Everybody wants to play on Thanksgiving growing up. Like, a lot of emotion in that game, right? The Packers, the way they played and how quickly and how efficiently they were moving the ball and scoring the ball was a complete anomaly of how their entire season has been. The Packers
You heard
under
my
first
best
half
bet.
total points
Yeah,
has been one of the best bets in the first half of this season. They do not get out to quick, fast-paced scoring.
They
So
did
that's
last
where,
week, but only because Austin bet that it wasn't going to
but
happen.
that's why I lean the
Bait
under,
me.
because I look at the anomaly versus a rescinding defense, and they're going up against a defense that has been playing top 10 all year long. And has, for the most part, really been carrying that Kansas City Chiefs team. Patrick Mahomes or no Patrick Mahomes. Like, that offense just has not been a typical Chiefs offense. So, like, that's I like the under in this game more than I like the spread.
What about the
There's been
-6?
so many
I was going to say,
drops.
are you guys touching either side of that? Like,
I don't like the -6 because the
or the
Chiefs have
+6?
shown
Like,
they'll let teams that play just solid, they'll let them hang around. Like, for everybody wanted to shit on the Dolphins for the Germany game. Oh, they gave up that right at the end of the half. They were down 21-0 at the half. That game ended 21-14. The
yep.
Chiefs did not score in that second half. The Chiefs all season have been very dull in the second half. That's where they're the flip side of the Packers. The Chiefs under total points in the second half has been a very solid bet this season. So I lean the
I think we're
under
onto
this game.
something.
Plus,
I
like
think
I
we're
said,
onto
it's
something.
prime time. Prime time unders
Under.
have been home this year.
Under in Packers first half, under in Chiefs second half. Combine them together.
Last matchup of the slate, second largest spread of the slate. Cincinnati is traveling to Jacksonville Jaguars. 38.5 over under with an 8.5 spread point differential. Joe Mixon is useless and should no longer be looked at. His numbers should be hit for unders. I think that's a safe bet. They're going to have to rely on him, but he's not going to be able to get it done. I think that whatever his rushing under is, it's probably going to be like 48, maybe 41. If it's 41, I probably wouldn't go under.
Whose?
Joe Mixon.
It's 49.5.
Yeah, go under.
Yeah.
And that's rushing.
Yeah.
What about his
ETN
receiving?
65.5. T-Law 11.5.
What?
Hammer that.
Oh,
Trevor Lawrence,
rushing? Oh,
Trevor
hammered.
Lawrence 11.5 rushing. He'll get that on one play scrambling
Must
for a
be
touchdown.
drunk.
Or scrambling for a first down. One play.
Seriously.
I told you earlier in the week during our tight end running back preview, I love Evan Ingram this week. because the Bengals are terrible versus tight ends. His over-under yards is set at 42.5, but his receptions prop is set at 4.5. The man has been getting 4 or 5 receptions every single week. So I love Evan Ingram this week, and I'm going to keep riding the Christian Kirk train. He's set at 50.5. Calvin Ridley set at 56.5.
Hammered.
Both of them at
Ridley
4.5 receptions.
Zay Jones is playing. Give me Ridley.
Seriously though, at this point it's a lock. Zay Jones is in, then Ridley's good. Now, what about Trevor Lawrence anytime touchdown? What's the odds on that?
T-Law anytime touchdown plus 420.
I like that. He's been getting them over the last couple weeks. He's got 3 touchdowns rushing.
To get him in this game.
How do you feel?
He's not been forced to get him at all. In a lot of ways, he's just looking for it.
No, he
in the red
has
zone.
in those games. Like last week against Houston, he was forced to get it. He needed to get that so they could get up. Like it was a tight game.
How do
this
you
is a
feel
game that I don't think
about
it'll be as tight.
The Jaguars minus 8.5?
That's steep.
The Steelers just
for a
beat the
team
Bengals
that plays
by 6.
like the Chargers.
Yeah, but the Steelers, with that 400 yards of offense, it didn't really look like it. Like if you looked at the game,
they're not used to being in the red zone. That's the problem. They got to the red zone and freaked out because they were like, "What's it like down here?"
Yeah. I think that the Jaguars can handle that. They've been winning a lot of their games by double-digit point totals as of late. Whenever they outclass the team, and this is definitely a team that they, at this point, outclass. With Joe Burrow, it's a totally different scenario, but Joe Burrow's not going to be there to keep it close. I think that they're going to go up by 2 or 3 scores in the first half and then keep it that way.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'd be fine if this was a minus 9.5, but that's pretty much where I draw the line on that. Over under 38.5. I'm leaning the under because primetime. Like, just primetime unders are gold, bro. Like, absolute
75%
gold.
on the season still?
Absolute gold. Now, Bengals team total points, 14.5.
What?
Bengals team total points. Do you think the Bengals go over, under 14? Under?
Jacksonville's defense has been decent.
Jacksonville is 23.5.
I think over. I think they probably get 27. That's probably where they land.
I love the over on that because you need 24. You need 3 tutties and a field goal.
Yep.
But until they drop any more props, especially with that being Monday night, kind of hampered there. So, like, I think we're all on Jaguars on that spread. And like I said, I'll always lean the under on prime times.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's just crushing it.
I think we did it, guys. Go ahead and make sure to leave us a like, comment, subscribe. Go to Tulsi Rose Tea at tulsirosetea.com for all of your tea needs. Austin's giving you guys all the gang signs. And yeah, make sure to leave us some stuff down below. Until next time. Peace.
Deuces. 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 Deuces.